I'm an architect. I am the representative of the Chamber of Romanian Architects from Romania. I live in Bucharest, and I am a professional architect. I work as an architect. I have an office. And 7 years ago, I met a friend at a swimming pool, and she's an urbanist. And after a small talk, we realized that we have something in common, that we want to develop a tool for kids, because we had kids, to understand what we were doing, actually. We decided to write a project for our organization grants, and suddenly we gathered a lot of colleagues into this project. And this project was called de Arquitectura, which in Romanian it's a word play. That means for kids, when they want to play a game, de învață-ascunsele means hide and seek. And for architects, if you take the A out, it's de Arquitectura by Vitruvius. So our idea was to bring kids and architects together. That was our first idea. Then we realized that most of our friends were architects, almost 90%. And we were just in a very closed bubble, and we have no idea what was happening outside. So we said our project cannot be just a book of describing architecture and some architecture rules. It has to be a book that should be applied in schools by our friends. And we have to design a program that will make all our architects go to schools, because there they will find their future clients if they live longer. And there they can make a change if they want to, because if they stay just in their office, it's not sufficient. So one of our first goals was to bring architects in the community through education. The second goal was to bring architects together with teachers, because architects have no idea how to teach. But they are very interesting persons, and all the kids in a classroom like them because they are different. But as teachers said, showed us the program, we teach you anything, even we don't know what it is about. So we said it's a good idea to have the architect and the teacher at the same time in the room. So we developed a training program for them to make a team and go to schools together. And our third idea was to make the learning process fun. As you learned today, most of the presentation was about it. If you don't play, if you don't enjoy what you are doing, you won't learn anything. So if you transform the knowledge in games and attractive and playful things, you might gain something, at least a little bit. And all this was, these ideas we wrote last year, because before we have nothing in our head like this. We just wanted to make a program, and we wanted to base our program on a project-based learning sequence, like to explore, to analyze, to build it yourself, and then to present what you have done. I think you already know this sequence from pedagogy lessons. And we developed a program for kids from 9 to 12. It was the easiest group we can work with. And we go to schools with this program. And after a while, this program got 2 siblings. And we were lucky that our chamber offered us a grant to develop this program. And after 3 years, we were able to put the program in the national curriculum as an optional. So any teacher can take it and do it together with the architect we sent there. The program has also 5 main ideas. Children has to learn to see the built environment through 5 filters. First, they have to understand the dimensions of the built environment, the scale of the proportion of things. Then they have to understand the materials, space, the colors, everything that makes architecture, let's say. But after that, they have to understand that every building belongs to a place, so you cannot build anything or what you want. You have to be in the place, to understand the place. And after you understand the place, you have to understand the people who are there. Actually, we call it the city, but it's actually the people who are making the city. And after you do this, you have another step. You have to think for the future, to think sustainable, to think that every action you do have a reaction in the future. So if you do one thing now, in 10 years, it won't be the same. Maybe it will change its value, or it will be worse or better. You don't know. And after these 5 things are fixed through explorations and games, city explorations, they have to work at a common project, a workshop, ideal neighborhood, and to present it together, because we gather all the classes in one city to put all the models together to create a big city. And usually 2 or 3 classes come and they have a sort of a dialogue in between and exchange ideas, which is quite a nice event. In Bucharest, it takes more than a week. In other cities, it's just 1 day. And we develop also a book for kids. And as I've told you, this program was for 9 to 12. So with the younger kids, we have to change the paradigm, because younger kids like stories. So we invented a story about 2 fantastic characters. One is defining the vegetal life, and one the animal life, let's say. And these 2 characters travel all the world to find the ideal place for them to build a village. And they have to pass through various places where every inhabitant has a specific characteristic. And kids have to understand that every place has a specific genius loci. We didn't say genius loci, but that was the idea. And the 3rd program is for teenagers. Teenagers are not so interested in anything. And we wanted to get them interested at least in their learning environment. So we have to change a little bit the way we design the program. We try to teach them some design thinking. It wasn't complete because we have to do it more often, but they have to design, to take decisions, also to find ways to fundraise or to promote their project, and finally to execute their project. The projects are not very big. They are small-scale projects, but they have to be very well documented, and they have to search for the input of the users. As you see here, when they search for the input of the users of a school, the biggest challenge or the strongest idea was to find places where you can socialize and relax in school. Indifferent if it's outside or inside, that was the main idea. So most of the projects are projects of places where you can meet other kids, where you can relax, where you can socialize, and sometimes when you can make lessons there in an informal way. Here is a scene. And also this project is downstairs in the exhibition. And the project has a follow-up as a site. We have a site with all those 6 projects we have now. And this year will be added more 5, and every year others. And there you can select the projects by different categories. Unfortunately, it's just in Romanian, but you can use Google Translate. It's not very difficult to understand what it is about. Last year, we were lucky to get a grant and to develop a program for teenagers, but about urban awareness, especially to make them understand their own city. And we had competition among our fellow architects to design some workshops, very funny, very cool, let's say, for teenagers. And then to make teenagers be the actors, and they have to go from school to involve other teenagers in the project. And the project now is in the phase of implementation for a long term. We also do workshops in events, museums, or in schools for a short term, but all our projects are long-term projects. And I've heard before in a presentation that telling stories is very good to present architecture in a way, because we also have this idea that an architect, if he can explain to kids what he's doing and make it through a story, his work will be better understood, and the kids and even the teenagers will get a grasp of what it was in his head, actually, how the process was. So we have this kind of conferences, let's say. It's a hall full of kids over 9 years old or teenagers. And the challenge is not for the kids, but for the architect to present his work in a very simple and attractive way. How many minutes? Okay, I'm finishing. There are many projects. You can find it our site. We are spread all over the country, and I thank you very much. Thank you.